It all starts with the mindset. It all starts with how you look at yourself. I was taught that resting was lazy. Resting was you just not trying hard enough. No, you're fine. I came into the gym after Worlds in 2013, and my whole body felt like it was broken, like it was shattering. I was just like, oh, my knees hurt so bad. And she was just like, yeah, it's probably just because you had, a lot of days off, so you've gained weight. You start thinking that your pain isn't real. 24/7 going into the gym, really just hating your body. When you have that sort of mindset, your body starts deteriorating. I mean, I would be training for 7 hours, and by the time it hit 8 o'clock, I'd be almost passing out, and I'd be like, wow, good thing I didn't eat. I feel so light right now. And I didn't think that was messed up at all. Yes, you're looking skinnier, good job. That's what I would get. I would get praise. I would go back to the gym and then burn myself out for 3 months. I was so unhealthy and tired that I couldn't get out of bed. It sucks everything out of you.
I don't remember the first time I actually felt out of place in my body, but I do remember in the sport with the other girls, we always just wanted to be small. I didn't want to go through puberty either. Your whole mindset in gymnastics is like, stay small, let's delay everything. But for that to be like a goal among the girls.
We have to get rid of this ridiculous perfectionist, relentless standards approach. I think a lot of the underlying issues of why I started having these things and why many other people have these things is it's just never enough. You always have to be better. You always have to be perfect. And I think we do a huge disservice to young athletes by saying that perfection is the goal instead of progress being the goal. Yes, everyone chases the perfect 10, but what is a perfect 10? It's a subjective opinion of another human at a snapshot in time about how your gymnastics is.
And a lot of times I think with gymnastics being a sport where it helps to feel light. People are saying, oh, you cut this out. I've heard stories of people eating 12 to 1,500 calories. It's like, no, food is fuel.
I've found that it's really not one gymnast goes untouched by what we call diet culture. We give food too much power. This is why clean eating and food rules and all of that is so harmful, because it creates this morality with food that it's good or bad, and that leads to guilt and shame and these just crazy extreme overcompensatory behaviors, and the body fights back. The body doesn't want to starve. That is an evolutionary mechanism where your brain is just trying to protect you.
If you want your body to function at its best, you've got to put the best in there. The best does not mean restrict. The best means balancing the quality.
In the males gymnastics side, when you look at like the Olympics, you just see shredded. If you're not that, you feel terrible about yourself. I would gain like 3 pounds on the scale. And so the next morning I would feel heavier. I would, look not as lean. And then I would see objectively on the scale that I was heavier. And I was like, well, time to go back to the gym. And I would go and just bury myself in more strength training. It became 100% about what I looked like and the pounds on the scale, not about what I felt like, my performance, my health, my happiness. None of those things mattered. The only thing that mattered was how much of a six pack do I have and what is the pound on the scale. The stress and the anxiety and the happiness I was robbed of not being able to just enjoy time with my friends and my family. I got that taken away from me because I was so hyper paranoid about where does this fit in my calories? What's the macro? How long should I run tomorrow to make up for this? It was unbelievably destructive to my mental health.
We have to remember we're dealing with kids, right? We're not dealing with professional athletes who are making millions of dollars, who are adults and can make these decisions. They're young, they're impressionable, there's an authority level that the adults have that they're influenced by. That's just at the stage of the game that they're at. And so I think we need to be doubly aware that even a comment made not with malice, just an offhand comment, even when we're not trying to be mean, can sometimes have a different effect.
Very much feel as though the biggest issue is there are clearly inappropriate behaviors from coaches and parents and other teammates, honestly, about body image, weight versus appearance and performance, right? Like people making ludicrous claims about the way someone looks, the food they're eating, or their type of performance based on little scientific training or very little scientific evidence. Like if you're not literally reading studies by the week, you have zero to say what should someone eat or why they look a certain way.
Athletic performance and health depends on adequate nutrition for the type of training that an athlete is doing. And in female athletes, if you're not getting enough nutrition to support the demands of your sport and all the functions your body needs to do, estrogen in your body is low and bone needs estrogen to heal. So every time we do gymnastics, we break down some of our bone and then our body builds it up. But if you don't have the right hormones and nutrition in your body, you can't build it back up. And that's when, of course, these stress fractures can happen.
I think we do a disservice early on. Psychology 101 tells us that what we learn as a child is how we develop, and it's how we see the world. When you take a developing athlete at the prime and tell them not to have something, you place fear. You create this mindset that food is bad, carbs are bad, sugar is bad. And in that fear, it's going to spiral. They're going to be fearful of more foods.
It's so funny. I have a nutritionist. He's always telling me to eat more. I've been trained for years. I need to eat less if I want to be leaner. It's just a twisted script in my head. That's not the truth. Less isn't more. You need to be fueling your body properly. Like, food isn't the enemy, right? Like, food is actually really good for us, and it's here for a reason. Our bodies need it. Surrounding yourself with good, knowledgeable people that care about you as a person has been super helpful. You know, it's okay to remove people. It's okay to block people.
You need what you need, and what you need to eat and what you need to do to take care of yourself and your mental health has absolutely nothing to do with anyone else. For myself, what sparked the eating disorder was, if I looked like this gymnast, I would perform like her. Everyone lies about food. Every article in every magazine ever about what this Olympic athlete eats or whatever else, that is complete BS. They are not going to tell magazine that, oh yeah, and then I had 2 cookies after dinner. You're now operating off of false reality.
A 13-year-old that's like, okay, I have to eat clean. When it starts, it seems pretty harmless, right? I'm doing this for my health. I want to be a better gymnast. I want to be trained better in the gym. Our gymnasts are such perfectionists. It doesn't end, and this can turn disordered very, very quickly.
In some gyms, there's a very distinctive, like, the little girls group of the 12-year-old prepubescent elite gymnasts who are easy to spot and toss in the air and all have the same setting. And then there's the old lady group where we gotta move the bars, we gotta spot them. Maybe we don't have a coach that can spot them. Like, those are in-gym cultural issues.
Coach, you're yelling at your kid for being too big, but you're doing this stupid exercise over and over and over again. Their muscles are hypertrophying, and then they're yelling at them some more. Who's the problem here? The kid that's scared to death, or you for doing insane amounts of training instead of doing the proper dose?
Children can have sugar. Children can have protein. Children can have carbohydrates. Children can have fats. I think this idea of pulling out one macronutrient is really unhealthy in a child.
Finding a therapist and a dietitian that fit sometimes takes time. My own experience with the therapist and dietitian was very negative initially. The dietitian looked at me and said, well, you know, we can't all have a 6-pack. That statement was so unhelpful. It was not clinically relevant at all. Was she right? Yeah. You know, she's trying to say that bodies change. Just the delivery was like, forget it, you're wrong.
You're trying to create an elite athlete around a very chaotic time in a kid's life from a growth and development standpoint. Maybe waiting till post-puberty is a time to develop the best, strongest athlete like they do in most other sports.
Once I was told that I could have half a banana for dessert once a week when I was training, 30 plus hours.
If I eat this food, I will, quote, get fat. No one food causes weight gain in and of itself. Period. End of story.
Do you feel fueled? We're fueling for performance. We want gas in the gas tank. If you're a coach in the trenches, quote unquote, and these conversations between teenage girls organically happen sometimes about like, oh, I just feel so heavy, or like, oh, my leotard doesn't fit. Like, those things just pop out of thin air. Not that someone's trying to be mean, but it comes up, and you have to really make sure you jump on those opportunities and squash those a bit. Like, hey, let's kind of cool it with those kind of comments, right? But also when you line people up and you say, hey guys, big training week coming up. Let's really make sure we talk to our parents. We get our meals, sorted out. We have snacks. We have things to fuel ourselves well, because we want to train and have fun in here. We're going to hit it hard, right? That conversation is so different as opposed to like, hey guys, tough practice today. People are looking kind of heavy. Maybe we should try to cut back a little bit and try to be thankful about what we're eating. Like, those two things, one is positive culture, build us up. One is destroy you.
There is no one gymnast body. There are so many things that you can do to improve your own performance that isn't just about weight.
On the women's side, it's pure infantilization of the bodies and of the minds. And it shows the amount of misogyny that is woven into the fabric of what gymnastics is. This is a women in sport issue, and that has to just end.
Cultural undertone is we should always be these tiny little sticks that are easier to spot when they're younger, and that they're easier to perform these crazy skills. It's like, okay, we're going to land on bones. Is that what we're going for here?
Puberty is not the end of your sport. It's not the end of your career. because it creates this hard line that is totally irrational and not backed by science.
Everybody has fears and insecurities, and everybody faces the same problems. Some people just hide it better.
At the root of it, it's not about the food. You know, it's about so many other things. It's about control. It's about low self-esteem. It's about anxiety. It's about worry, guilt, shame. And so I think the combination of an amazing therapist and a solid dietitian who can provide education and provide support is the best way to kind of get off that treadmill of feeling chained to the scale, feeling chained to food in their bodies.
We also need to remember, like, what's beautiful about each one of us is that we're different.
You always have to keep transforming and getting better and better, and you can't just be like, oh, we're good here. It's like, no, the world's evolving. Like, you have to keep evolving, I have to keep evolving, or we just get stuck.
You want people around you that are speaking life into you and saying the truth about who you are, and that's not a number on a scale. Comparison is the thief of joy, you know, because you're not that other person. We're made differently. You know, everyone's different, everyone's unique, and that's special.